the offices of E3 Metals Corporation, to talk about the work we're doing to develop a modern strategy to unlock Alberta's mineral resource potential. Work that will strengthen and diversify Alberta's economy. I will invite E3's president, Chris Doornbos, up momentarily to speak about the innovative work that this young Alberta company is doing. But first, I'd like to take a few minutes to speak about the next series of initiatives that the Alberta government is committed to help us strengthen and diversify Alberta's economy and resource sector. Alberta is already known worldwide as a leader in responsible resource development. Historically, this has been in areas of crude oil, natural gas, and oil sands production. But what isn't known widely is Alberta's vast, untapped potential for geological and various minerals, which are in global demand. These minerals include lithium, vanadium, uranium, rare earth elements, diamonds, and potash, many of which are important in the manufacturing of modern products that we use every single day. This includes batteries, metal alloys, cell phones, computers, energy storage cells, and fertilizers. This geological potential, along with the province's experience in responsible resource development, puts Alberta in a great position to become a preferred international producer and suppliers of minerals. But right now, in large part, it's just a potential. And we need to take bold action to diversify our economy by exploring new avenues, such as mines and minerals. An integral part of Alberta's recovery plan and our recently released investment and growth strategy involves setting a new path towards an innovative, diversified energy future. These plans recognize that the development of new resources presents emerging opportunities for investment and the creation of additional jobs here in Alberta. And we're building on these plans by developing a modern mineral strategy that will include clear steps to responsibly and sustainably capitalize on our mineral potential. That is why we are here today, downtown Calgary, at E3 Metals Corporation. E3 Metals is an exciting new Alberta company that is already moving the needle on diversification and innovation. So much so that they've invested and that they've already received 2 grants from Alberta Innovates to support their work, one in 2018 for $100,000 and another in 2020 for $98,000. E3 is a lithium development company that is building on the backbone of Alberta's oil industry by perfecting technology to extract lithium from oil field brine waters. Lithium is in increasing demand as it is widely used across the globe in battery production. Our government's efforts will support the development of renewed and innovative minerals sector, including the groundbreaking work that is being done by great Alberta companies like E3. This is the kind of innovation we want to see and we need to see, innovation that will ensure a successful future for Alberta. To help guide the development of our mineral strategy, we've struck a 5-member Mineral Advisory Council composed of experts from right across Canada. Combined, the members of the newly formed Mineral Advisory Council have more than 100 years of experience in geology, resource development, Indigenous relations, regulatory and environmental affairs, investor and industry perspectives across Canada and internationally. This expert panel consists of Stephanie O'Toole. Stephanie is the Executive Director of the Nunavut Water Board. She has more than 23 years of experience in environmental and land use planning and sustainable resource development legislation and regulation. Bob McLeod. Mr. McLeod is a 2-term Premier of the Northwest Territories. His 12-year political career followed 30 years in the public service, focusing on intergovernmental and Indigenous affairs, resource development, mining, and regulatory reform. Allison Rippin Armstrong. Ms. Armstrong has more than 25 years of experience in environmental compliance and regulatory processes. Gordon Stothard. He's the president and CMO and CEO of IAMGold and current chairman of the Mining Association of Canada. Mr. Stothard has more than 30 years' experience in the international mining industry. Ira Thomas. She's the president and CEO and co-founder of Lucara Diamond Corporation and a current director of Suncor Energy. She is a Canadian geologist with more than 25 years of experience in the Canadian mining industry. As you can see, we are very fortunate to have this panel of accomplished experts agree to support us, and I can't thank them enough for volunteering to take the time out of their very busy schedules to help us develop a strategy to move forward with mines and minerals. Their advice will be an important element in reaching our ultimate goal, and that's of becoming the global destination for mineral investment, exploration, and development. As part of that goal, we are also placing a top priority on upholding Alberta's stringent environmental standards. As I said earlier, Alberta is a world leader in responsible resource development, and our mineral strategy will help us maintain that reputation. Now, while the council members are unable to join us today in person, due in large part to COVID restrictions, we recently held our first virtual meeting, and I look forward to continue working with them over the next several months. We created this council specifically to gather advice on best practices in responsible mineral development and exploration, to set Alberta up for success. To do this, we need to have international perspectives on what does and what doesn't work. At the same time, we need to understand the Alberta perspective. To achieve that, we'll be engaging companies and organizations. We will be engaging with Indigenous communities, exploration and development groups, environmental and conservation organizations, technology and research groups and investors, as well as farming, landowner, and municipal associations. Once this engagement is complete later this fall, we will work to finalize the mineral strategy, taking into consideration the advice of the panel and the thoughts and concerns of all sectors with a stake in responsible resource development. And we aren't doing this work in a vacuum. The Government of Canada is also taking steps to solidify its position as a worldwide leader in mineral development. And we have worked closely with them as they develop their recently released Canadian Minerals and Metals Plan and associated action plan. When it comes to minerals development, we are very much in step with the federal government's priorities for economic diversification and responsible mineral development, and we have a very good working relationship with them in this area. That being said, we are very interested in hearing what's in this afternoon's speech from the throne. There may be areas where, unlike the mineral development policies, that we're not going to agree with the federal government, in which case we'll continue to stand up for Albertans as we have always done. One thing that we certainly can all agree on is that a successful post-pandemic recovery for all Canadians requires a strong and diversified economy in Alberta and right across Canada. That is why we are driving hard to put a well-informed and impactful mineral strategy in place. Now, I would like to thank our host again, Chris Doornbos, President, CEO, and Director of E3 Metals Corporation, for having us here at his beautiful Alberta headquarters today. And I'd like to invite him up to say a few words about the important work that they are doing. Following that, Chris and I will be available to take questions from the phone line. Chris, it's all yours.
Thank you, Minister Savage. We study history not to understand the past, but to anticipate the future. 90 years ago, we witnessed a pattern of human behavior that we see happening again today. What was that pattern? Disruption, economic collapse, and renewal. More specifically, disruption, Henry Ford's assembly line. Economic collapse, the Great Depression. Renewal, Roosevelt's New Deal. Today we are witnessing a similar pattern. Disruption, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. Collapse, the current global crisis. and renewal. But what will renewal look like? Whatever that is, however it presents, it will certainly be different from anything we have seen before. For 75 years, we in Alberta have defined ourselves as an energy province, focused on oil and gas. That has been our core business, and that is not going anywhere. Successful adaptation builds off proven practice, rigorous debate, expansive thinking, and focused effort. Here in Alberta, our greatest opportunity will be to leverage off our core business, our experience, and profound knowledge of the oil and gas industry. Not to replace that core business, but to amplify our offering. Diversification is critical to Alberta's economic future. E3 Metals looks to produce lithium in much the same way we produce oil, building off the backbone of this industry, creating jobs from within the province's existing workforce. The size of this opportunity is massive. Alberta holds vast lithium resources across the province that are in the same size paradigm globally as the oil reserves. E3 Metals' proprietary technological advantage extracts lithium from brines in Alberta enriched with this critical metal. Our goal is to produce lithium at high quality for products direct sale into the growing battery market. Our bigger goal is to do so with net zero carbon emissions by utilizing local technology and know-how. Canada is one of the few countries that has within it all of the essential minerals to supply the growing global trend to electrification. In fact, Alberta alone could supply cobalt, nickel, and soon premium quality lithium. I believe that Canada in the near future may compete head-to-head with China in the production of minerals essential to the electrification revolution. Change is inevitable. The challenge for all of us is to build the tools to anticipate and meet this change head-on and to generate opportunities for the future. Thank you, Minister Savage. We are encouraged by your leadership and excited to see the formation of this new council and the work they will provide to growing Alberta's mineral sector and diversifying our economy.
Thank you, Chris. We'll open up the line to questions. Please, we are on a schedule today. One question, one follow-up. Operator, can you please put through the first caller?
First is Rob McAnally with CTV. Go ahead, Rob.
Hi, Minister Savage. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to get a sense from you on how critical the small modular nuclear reactors that your government is exploring is in developing the mining technology moving forward. How critical is that technology in taking on this plan?
Well, sure. Thanks for the question. SMR, small modular reactors, is part of our diversification strategy in Alberta. We see an enormous potential for it. The technology may be a decade out, but we know that it's something we want to pursue. There's some applications for it, which it could be set up in oil sands to electrify the oil sands with zero emissions. We're excited to be joining the Memorandum of Understanding with Saskatchewan, Ontario, and New Brunswick. I'm excited about that, and we see some enormous potentials for SMRs. It's one of several strategies that we're pursuing for diversification. Key one is mines and minerals. We'll also be looking at a geothermal strategy, a hydrogen strategy. We're pursuing all of these new and innovative sectors and technologies. But I'm excited about SMRs and really excited about joining the Memorandum of Understanding. You'll be hearing more about that this fall.
Thank you, operator. Can you please put through the next caller?
Next is Chris F. with CTV Calgary. Go ahead, Chris.
Minister, I'm just curious on what you're expecting or hoping for from the throne speech today when it comes to Alberta and the energy sector here.
Well, sure. Well, we're anticipating and we're cautiously watching. We're waiting. We're concerned with what might be in that. We don't know, of course, what will be in it. We're hearing mixed messages come out of Ottawa, but we sure know what we don't want to see in it. and what we do want. We want to see the speech from the throne be about fairness to Alberta. You saw the Premier down in Ottawa last week asking for fairness. We want the speech from the throne to be focusing on jobs now. We need those jobs now. We're in a jobs crisis. And while it's important to bringing on new economies and sectors and jobs of the future, we cannot forget jobs now. And in that respect, we cannot see the oil and gas industry left behind. And third and final, we want to see in it something that says do no harm. We're already in a tough place in Alberta. We're in a jobs crisis. We've been hit hard by the COVID pandemic and the collapse in prices for oil. So we don't want to see anything in the speech from the throne that would harm Alberta even more. Comes straight to mind is things like the clean fuel standards. So we'll be watching carefully what comes out of it and ensuring that it treats Alberta fairly and that it has and enunciates a future role for oil and gas.
Operator, can you please put through the next caller?
Next is Rafi Bouchikanian with CBC. Go ahead, Rafi.
Hi, Minister. Thank you for taking my question. I guess kind of riffing off of what Chris was asking you, how concerned are you that in the middle of a pandemic we could be headed to a federal election, and what do you think that could mean for Alberta?
Well, I think what we should be focusing on in the middle of a pandemic is lives and livelihoods, about jobs now, about getting people back to work, about protecting their health and protecting their household income. I don't think anybody wants to be talking about having a federal election. And so certainly we'll be watching that. I'm not hearing signs that this is going to trigger a federal election. As I said, we're hearing mixed signals of what might or might not be in the speech from the throne, but certainly we'll be watching it carefully to see how it impacts Alberta, and that there's key things in there that focus on fairness and that focus on having a viable future for our natural gas and oil sectors.
Operator, can you please put through the next caller?
Next is Catherine Bukowski with Alberta Today. Go ahead, Catherine.
Good morning, Minister. I'm wondering, what is it about this moment that has led to now being the time to explore Alberta's resources? They've always been in the ground, so is it that there's the demand now? Is it, like, why now, I guess?
Well, I'm really excited about this because we have the potential here. We have the minerals here. It's been mapped somewhat, and we have the potential. It just hasn't been explored in the past. Now, there was a strategy brought forward in 2002 for a mineral strategy, but it wasn't pursued, and I'm not sure why it wasn't pursued at the time. But we're looking at the potential that this has and the opportunity it has to diversify the economy, to bring in new investment, to bring in a new sector. The products that we have in Alberta, from uranium to lithium to potash to precious metals, they're things that can be used in manufacturing, and they're part of the future going forward. Now, one thing we know for sure is oil and gas will, every credible forecast for energy in the future shows that oil and gas will continue to dominate the energy mix. So that's why we continue to support oil and gas. But all of those forecasts also show that there'll be a growing demand for new sectors, emerging technologies, and we want to be part of that. We see Alberta as being an attractive place for an investment. We've got the resources here, the mineral resources, so now is the time to do it. I'm quite excited to be part of a government that's pursuing a mineral strategy from the ground up. We're building this from scratch. We have a real opportunity to get this right, to bring in a strategy that will have investor certainty and confidence so that we can attract investment, and one that will also give confidence to communities and those affected by projects that they will be responsibly produced. So I'm pretty excited about this, and now is a great time to be building this strategy. I'm not sure why it wasn't done in the past, because the minerals are here, but we're pursuing it, and we're going to be pursuing it very aggressively.
And we have time for one last question. Operator, can you please put through the next caller?
Final question is Tom Vernon with Global News. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Minister. Thanks for taking my question. To often unlock these new opportunities, there needs to be public investment as well. Is the government prepared to put provincial funding, provincial dollars in place to help these industries get going?
Well, right now we're building a strategy where we're talking to investors on what they need to see to have the sector take off. This is going to be in other areas too, like SMRs, small modular reactors, and geothermal hydrogen. We need to understand what we need to do to be competitive. We're building on a lot of advantages here in Alberta with the lowest corporate tax rate, with established regulatory regime, with a skilled workforce that builds on oil and gas and our expertise there, and with an entrepreneurial spirit. Companies like E3 Metals that really are forward-looking. So that's what this strategy is about, building a strategy so we can talk to investors, we can talk to the sector, so that they can tell us what we need to do here in Alberta to be successful.
Thank you, everyone, for your time today.